Welcome back to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com. I'm your host Kyle, and I'm going to be talking about a recent play that is currently on in Melbourne called My Sister Jill. Now, to almost any young child, a father or dad is their first champion. He's 10 foot tall. His voice is enough to shake the mountains, and really he's strong enough to lift a car with one hand. Now, for young Christine, played by Angry Rice, this sums her dad up perfectly. Now, Jack, played by Ian Bliss, is a war hero. He's a fighter. He's a POW who never gave up. But Jack brought something back home with him, and this is something which his entire family would need to live with. Jack, like many veterans, suffers from PTSD. Um, Anger, fear, love. It's impossible to know which Jack you're going to get at any moment. His loving wife, Martha, played by Maud Davey, tries to understand, but is so hard at times. As the youngest of the family, Christine, Angry Rice's character, she idolizes her father. She's always keen to hear his retelling of his war stories back from WW2, but for her brothers and sisters, things are a little bit more complicated. The eldest son, Johnny, played by James O'Connell, faces the brunt of his father's mood swings. The twins, Dor, Benjamin Nicol, and Mouse, Zachary Pidd, may as well be conjoined for how closely they stick together. And they're both a little bit soft, but together they are strong. While older sister Jill, Lucy Golby, is top of her class, and she's really the only member of the family who is willing to stand up to Jack's outbursts. Through Christine's eyes, we get an intimate look at this volatile family dynamic from the 1950s to the 70s. Tempers flare and the Vietnam War begins. These children become adolescents, forever warped by their upbringing. And this is a story of survival, of heartbreak, trauma, and I guess above all, hope. But it's mostly a story of war and the damage that it inflicts on us long after our heroes return home. Now, My Sister Jill comes from famed Australian playwright and author Patricia Cornelius. It's based on her 2003 novel of the same name, and it is a semi autobiographical look at the domestic hardships that so many endured post World War II. It's directed by Cornelius's frequent collaborator Susie D, and the play, it's an honest and hard hitting, but at times hilarious family drama. From the very beginning, things seem kind of off in the family home. We're shown everyone playing, running around, laughing, but there's this kind of sense of foreboding in the air. My sister Jill does an excellent job at presenting the dynamics of a household that is constantly in flux, never knowing what will trigger a memory and set off a landmine which explodes and takes everyone with it. Jack is a deeply scarred human being, one that his family love, but also paradoxically they hate, depending on his mood. His tales of war thrill Christine, but really they shouldn't. This play is set at a time before returning soldiers could really get the psychological care that they just so dearly needed. Um, they were mostly just told to just kind of forget about the bad memories, which of course isn't really possible. And like these aren't just merely fun memories of survival and adventure. They're dark, horrific stories of man's inhumanity to man, and they have an effect on Jack. They're constantly pulling him down into the depths of despair, and now he's kind of stuck in this never-ending cycle of seeking out conflict even when there isn't one. Uh, it's also a coming of age story for all of Jack's children who are really growing up in this environment. The play explores the effects of an abusive upbringing has on our development, and really it kind of begs the question: how are we supposed to learn how to be adults from a father figure who is so thoroughly broken himself? Cornelius's play, it's not a completely accurate portrayal of her brothers and sisters and her home life. Also, there was actually a third daughter character from the book that has been excised in the play. But what is here allows all of the cast to have extremely powerful and heartbreaking moments. Ian Bliss has an exceptionally challenging role to play, but he pulls it off, being able to portray Jack in this way that's we're conflicted about him as much as the character's children are. Like, do we love him for his jokes and his warm side, or do we hate him for his inexplicable outbursts when things are turned sour? Um, the actors O'Connell, Nicol, and Pidd, they each give really great performances as well. We see they are three different boys growing into three very different young men. Each of them damaged in their own way, with the twins Dor and Mouse, who at one point in the play are indistinguishable from each other. They eventually get torn apart through the horrors of the next inevitable war, the Vietnam War, and they kind of that really does warp them uh, unrecognizably. Golby as Jill surely does show her character's unwavering rebellion and strength, but also she's nurturing, often more of a mother to the other kids than even Martha is. Her character is described as being like a dog with a bone, and she might actually just be, of all the children, the one that takes after Jack the most. Through her, the story really kind of gets its sense of hope. But like, what peace is there in a life of endless defiance, which is kind of what the character of Jill seems to be heading towards. Now, the play and the book are both titled My Sister Jill as something of an homage to George Johnson's 1964 novel My Brother Jack, which was actually kind of a similar story about uh, World War One, and it was a novel that kind of shaped Cornelius's life, I guess. It was a book from her youth, and so this play, My Sister Jill, is kind of inspired by that. But I didn't really feel that the Jill as a character really truly tied all the narratives together as the title might infer. Rather, that's something that I think is more shown by the direct relationship between Christine and her father. It probably should have just been called My Father Jack, but I don't know. Maybe people would have thought it was a sequel or something, and who knows. But related to which, the play's true standout performance is Angry Rice, making her main stage theatre debut. She's last in billing, but first in our hearts. And yeah, we really see Rice kind of transform over the course of the play. A lot of people would probably recognize Angry Rice. She's quite a Hollywood star. She was in the Spider-Man Homecoming movie. She is a star on Netflix. She was starred in the Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. She was Ryan Gosling's character's daughter, if anybody remembers that. So she's already made a name for herself in movies and TV, and really now I think that she's done a really good job on stage as well. we really see the world through her narration, and oftentimes in scenes kind of play out as she watches from the sidelines. Like, she's naive and she resists growing up more than the others, as she really kind of sees how horrible being a grown up truly is. Um, the set designed by Marg Harrell was spectacular with some frequent changeovers. Like we start out at the beginning of the play, we just start out with the outside of the family home, as everything is picture perfect, as the family just playing in the yard. There's actually a semi-restored 1953 FX Holden parked stage left, and it's kind of a symbol of the great Australian dream. But it's only as the household's walls kind of lift away that we see past that facade, both literally and figuratively, and we get a view into the house, into the bedrooms, into the life of this family, and yeah, it's not all as pretty and happy as it looks on the outside. Um, it's also accompanied by some really impressive lighting and sound design by Rachel Burke and Kelly Ryle, respectively. I especially enjoyed the team's creation of this fireworks display about halfway through the story. It's kind of created through use of projection and sound and even some special effects, like explosions and stuff. But it really was so immersive that it kind of made you feel like you were there having a good time with the family until really, yeah, until they weren't really having so much of a good time after all. Uh, yeah, my sister Jill can make for a challenging view into a home ravaged by PTSD, but it's ultimately a hopeful story of survival and overcoming hardships that many still face today. It's got a talented cast, which bring Patricia Cornelius's characters to life, and Susie D really kind of makes them shine as director, which it proves again that this is one of Australian theatre's most versatile and brilliant creative partnerships of Patricia Cornelius and Susie D. So I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. It's My Sister Jill, and it's currently playing at South Bank Theatre until the 28th of October, 2023. If you want tickets, go to mtc.com.au and you'll be able to find everything there. Uh, yeah. You're listening to Subculture on CentralCoastRadio.com, and we'll be back right after this.